Yeah, I don't think I didn't really find out why there is still so many female-run businesses on the island now. But historically speaking, a lot of men had to go away to work elsewhere. So they ended up in Belgium, they ended up in Australia, the States, in Varese in the north of Italy.
Okay, yeah.
The girls at the residency and Antonella, who runs the bookshop, who has all these amazing books also about Salina, they told us a lot. And they told us also about women practically taking over all the stuff that needed to be done.
But
the men
what happened to the men?
working.
They just shut off and then they just forgot about it, or?
Well, no, they went off to work, so they were away maybe for years to work elsewhere to make money. And in the meantime, the women had to take care of the kids. They had to keep everything going. So there's a lot of stories, not just on Salina, but on the other islands about the women going out fishing. And Antonella showed us these videos from, I don't know, the 20s or the 30s. And you see these women in these fishing boats, and there's a woman of almost 100 years old rowing the boat and fishing. And yeah, oh man, it's amazing. So strong, so inspiring as well. It makes you kind of feel like a wuss.
You probably all are compared to them, you know.
My God, yeah.
No, and then there are so many ingredients for fairy tales, no? The stories of the woman, and then already there are stories about witches, but then you also have the special place where it's all the cats, where all the cats gather, the cat square, and there was a man who only eats soap.
What?
For example.
Soap or soup?
Soap.
Okay, he's still alive?
No.
What do you mean he only ate soap? Like, it's a story, or did you actually meet a guy who only ate soap?
No, it's a story. It's a story.
Ah, okay. What's the story?
Soap. Soap.
No, so he's eating only. Like, do you remember the story?
Yes, it's just that.
Ah, okay. There's no story behind it. It's just ate soap.
It's just ate soap.
Okay.
Well, it's all connected. It apparently,
kind of a lame story.
There are several stories of people on the island who went a bit bonkers mentally, and some say it's the sun being too strong.
Like back then, when after the man left, or.
Some of the stories we heard were from long ago. There was a story of a woman who went a bit crazy because her man had left to the United States to work, and he was sending her money and presents, and she was there in Salina waiting for him to come back someday, I guess, or at least thinking that everything was all right. And then one day she gets this message that he died, he passed away.
Okay.
And then later on she finds out that he, in fact, didn't die. He just started a whole new life with another woman. And that kind of drove her insane. So she took all the stuff. She had these big wooden chests where she was keeping all the presents and the money. And she dug these massive holes in the garden, and she buried everything. And then she refused to eat anything else than milk and bread, right? And the only thing she did all day was wash her white sheets.
Well, I'm telling you, the Sicilians are very emotional, passionate people. Like my father is from Sicily. I got a whole part of the family that's Sicilian, and I.
So you know what we're talking about.
I can confirm.
No, so what's your dad like then?
My father.
Does he eat soap? No.
He doesn't eat soap. He wouldn't get. Well, he uses it for the appropriate uses as it is destined for. So.
But he's an emotional person.
Oh, very emotional. Yeah.
We actually met a guy who really reminded me of your father.
Really?
But to come back to this story about this when we just heard this kind of stories when we just arrived in the first and the second day, we heard all these stories from mainly Elettra, and for example, this story about the woman who then only washes white sheets, drinking milk, only eating bread. It's almost like I can imagine that when an artist who works mainly with performance, for example, immediately would go very strong to this story because it's such a such a story with, well, actually maybe it's also too much already there. Actually, things are already there, so the island is already full of this kind of stories which you need to discover, which are already on sich. How do you say it? It's already
by themselves.
In itself, it's already something. You know, it's already an object of absurdity sometimes, but also just basically the history also. But well.
Yeah, true. But it almost, you're right. It's almost like she already was doing an art performance.
Yes, exactly. Yes, yeah.
It's a very poetic kind of action. It's like she. Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking a lot about this story. The element of it's almost like she's trying to cleanse herself, like she's doing some kind of cleansing ritual with just the milk and the bread, and cleaning these sheets all day long, and kind of burying everything that connects her to her husband that betrayed her, basically. And it's like, maybe I wonder, because maybe to the outside world it looked like she went insane, but maybe for her it was a type of therapy, you know. It reminded me a lot of this guy Alejandro Jodorowsky. Have you heard about him? He's a guy from Chile, and he's been a lot of things in his life. Amongst others, he studied to be a mime actor. He was involved a lot with poetry. He had a lot of friends who were poets.
That's the guy, right?
That's him, yeah. But he also wrote. He knows a lot about tarot. He wrote storylines for comic books. He's made movies.
29, still alive.
He's still alive. He's very interested in shamanism, in Mexican and South American shamanism, but also in Zen Buddhism. He's a very, very curious, interesting figure.
Psychologist, psychoanalyst even.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But the thing that he had this thing that he would call poetic acts, and he started doing them when he was a very young guy with his friends in Chile. And one of them was that he decided to walk in a straight line through the city.
Okay.
So he was with his friend, and they decided, okay, we're just gonna walk in a straight line, and they had to climb fences and walls, and they had to knock on people's doors to go through the house, and that sort of started as a playful thing, but he developed it in a kind of therapeutic sense.
Yes.
So people would come to him with their problems, and a lot of them were connected to problems that were in the family and were kind of passed on from generation to generation. And he would devise a poetic act for them that would help them to overcome this trauma or this problem. So he would kind of invite them to do a kind of art performance almost, but connected to their own life story. And this story of this woman cleaning the sheets and drinking the milk and eating the bread. It's almost like it was something that he could have devised for her.
Right.
Yeah, he's an interesting character. He's a bit eccentric, but there's a lot of interesting stuff to learn from his own life. There's a few books out that tell about his life story. I definitely advise people to check it out.
Awesome.
Yeah.